Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Junkyard Digs, and welcome to part 3 of our 71 Satellite Revival. This week's goal, prep this car to go down a drag strip. Okay, so it is currently Monday. The drag races are Saturday, and the car's essentially just like it was when we left off in part 2. Let's take a look. First off, if you aren't familiar, this is our 71 Satellite that I bought off Facebook Marketplace because it probably has some of the best metal in any MOPAR I've ever seen in the Midwest. And it turns out the car is originally from my hometown of Belmont in northern Iowa. We were able to track down the original owner. He said he might want to buy it back, so we're going to get it ready to do just that and eventually take the trip all the way to Wisconsin where he now lives. We've stripped the interior, buffed the body, and refreshed the 318 with new paint, gaskets, a cam, headers, and a 4-barrel. Today's goal is to move under the vehicle for suspension and brake work. Now, as you may notice, this is not actually how we left off. This car had drums on it when we left off, and it had wheels on it, and it wasn't flying in the air on our bend packed lift. I tried to do these brakes last weekend and save some time in this video, and I put new wheel cylinders in, but unfortunately, our front drums literally crumbled to pieces when I pressed these hubs out. Now, the rear drums would have fit up front, but they don't have that big cooling fin, if you're in a pickle, you could do that, but I was in such a pickle that I wanted the original front drums, and they were $130 a piece for just the drums up front. Well, long story short, one of the sponsors for this video, Summit Racing, has a whole front disc brake conversion kit for like $500 something, and I mean, you do the math, that's not far off for a big upgrade in performance. Alongside that, we're going to be putting some suspension components in from QA1 that we bought on a budget. And the reason we're doing that is because these bushings up here wear out all the time, and this is just a generalized upgrade that this car could use anyway. We've got a spicy 318, and we're going to have disc brakes. It only makes sense to go the extra mile and do the one last step that could even be done in here and really make this car good. On top of that, as you can see, I pressure washed the underside of the car and then hit it with rust reformer and sealed it with a good enamel paint. So the entire underside of this car is now nice and protected against any rust. I don't know if that's going to be a pain in the butt for myself or whoever restores this if it gets restored in the next couple years. But if it sits 15 years before it gets restored, I'm afraid there wouldn't be any car left to restore if I didn't do this. As you can see, we do have a couple spots on the frame here that are already getting thin, despite how solid this car is. So there you go. You guys are all caught up on what's happened to the Satellite since the camera was last on it. Let's get these brakes and upper suspension torn out of here and get some upgrades in there. Alright, so step 1, just like a normal coilover suspension, we need to relieve all the pressure that our spring is putting on this control arm so that we can disconnect everything safely and not, die. Now, unlike coilover suspension, this isn't a coilover suspension. This is a torsion suspension, which has this long steel bar that runs all the way back here to the cross member of the trans. And that long steel bar is held under tension by this bolt, and it's twisted up, and it wants to return back down. That is our spring, so we need to loosen him to relieve that pressure. There we go, that's all it takes. Now, as you can see, I can lift the suspension on this because there's no more pressure from that torsion bar. While I'm in here, I'll remove the center link for the steering, which we've already had off because we had to have it off for the headers. One more thing I probably should mention, ideally you want to count the number of rotations it takes to get this bolt out, or if you have a clean one for some reason, unlike me where it's all rusty and dirty, hit it with some spray paint so that when you run it back in and reset your ride height, you can run right up to the last clean thread, because I can clearly see that I'm about 1.5 inches out, but once that last clean thread touches the nut, I'm set right back where it was. Alright, cotter pins are out. Our next step is going to remove this bolt and the one just like it over here on the other side. These attach the spindle to the steering arm and thusly the lower ball joint, which if you can hear, yeah, not great. Unfortunately, to replace that, you have to replace this entire steering arm. Fortunately, O'Reilly's had them in stock down in Kansas City, so I called up yesterday and they'll be here today at noon. I hope your impact batteries are charged, and I hope you have a big ass breaker bar. Also, another trick I've learned, O'Reilly's has started selling these giant catch pans. It's like a 2x3 catch pan. Those are great to put on the floor underneath what I'm working on here so that all this crap falls onto that. And then I just pick it up and dump it in the trash can, and I'm not walking around on it all day, stepping it into our nice, freshly painted floor, which is already all screwed up. Alright, there we go. Now these bolts we need to hang on to because the new lower ball joint does not come with them, and neither does the spindle kit. Now that we have these two separate, you can see our upper and lower control arms move independently, but there's a bunch of junk hanging in the way, so let's remove this and that. Excuse me, Mr. Bolt, but I wasn't asking. There you go. That wasn't so bad, now was it? Now, since we won't be using this, no one cares if you boogered up, so just send her home. Sometimes a few whacks on the actual part the ball joint stud goes into will release it. Doesn't appear to be one of those times. Hey, actually it did. Now we just rinse and repeat for the top one. There we go. That wasn't so bad. There we go. The lucky pickle fork triumphs again. Now we've got some working room in here, but we can have a little more if we take this shock off. 11/16 on the nut. There we go. 5/8 on the bolt head. Into the hardware pile. Perfect. And now we drop the car to reach the bolt on top. So there are three things we got to do up here. One, take off the nuts on top of the shock to drop the shock out. Two, remove this nut on the front upper control arm bolt and mark where that bolt sits currently, that cammed washer. And three, remove this rubber flapper in the back, or remove that bolt if we can get to it. I'm guessing we can't very well, so we will probably remove the rubber flapper, and it gives us a better chance to get in there and do some more rust prevention. What's the chances this doesn't spin? Probably like 0. Holy crap, that never happens. Okay, usually this whole stud spins. You either gotta hold the top piece and do it with a wrench, or grab the shock body and keep it from spinning, or grab the shaft with a vice grip to keep it from spinning, or cut it with a Sawzall. There's always that option. Now for this forward one, I like to take a Sharpie and mark where the cammed washer currently has the bolt. That way when I put it together, I at least get it close before it goes down to get in alignment. There we go. Once again, into the hardware pile. Now I need to remove this rubber flat back here. These are push pins, much like inside of an interior on door panels. So nothing crazy. There we go. All right, back up in the air. As you can see, removing that flap has given me access to get in here and grab that rear upper control arm bolt. Let's get it out. Straight to the breaker bar on this one. Oh, there we go. The driver's side was way rustier. There's actually rust in the frame and everything. So hopefully, this one won't be seized, and I won't have to get extra creative, to say the least. There's the nut, hardware pile, lock washer, hardware pile. Once again, I'm going to grab a Sharpie, try to mark roughly where that stud is. Get this shock out of the way. Just push this guy up. Alright, let's get a wedge in there before I mushroom it too bad to come out. Ask me how I know that's possible. Oh no, it's doing it again. This bolt gets rusted inside that shank and you can't get it out. I got her to pound most of the way through, but the end is too mushroom to go through the bushing again, so we need to cut it right here and send it back home that way. There's one out. I think because this one sits down lower and dirt and stuff can accumulate back here, he is the problem child. This one, oh, comes right out. Easy. Beautiful. Hardware pile. Alright, upper's off. Alright, so that's everything on the upper. It's time now for this strut rod and get the torsion bar out of the way so that we can get the strut rod out. We need to undo the bolt on this end of the strut rod, that end of the strut rod, undo this bolt, and then on the back of this torsion bar, on the other end, there's a clip that you grab with a pair of pliers and pull him out. Then hammer this whole assembly back, and that will give us enough room to get this strut rod out. Really? Let's see a spin now. Oh god, I forgot this one has a roll pin. And it's a lock nut. This one sucks. Yeah. There we go. You know where that's going. Hardware pile. Now, one of the reasons that we're doing this beyond just a performance upgrade is that these bushings right here love to wear out. And as you can see, that one is just about worn through. Once those bushings wear out, the wheel can literally move back and forth within the wheel well, and it just drives like even more crap. The QA1 strut rod we're going to be replacing this with has a much better end that does not wear out, and it's adjustable so you can actually move that wheel to help with your alignment. Next up, that bolt right there. I believe he is a 15/16. There we go. Alright, we're not going to take him off, just loosen him most of the way. Now in a perfect world, you'd be able to just pull this torsion bar back out of this socket at the top of your lower control arm. But we don't live in a perfect world. We live in the Rust Belt, so you got to take the whole damn thing because there's no way those are coming apart. The problem is this end down here, where that torsion bar is attempting to be pushed through the cross member, and it is not loving it. Once you get to move a little, you should be able to get a primer in there, and there we go. There she goes. With that, we remove our strut rod, and we're done. I'll tell you what, this side was a lot easier than the other side. I think I did that in about 45 minutes instead of about 4 hours. The big difference was that on that side I had to learn that process and order of operations that I just showed you guys. And it took me a while to figure out what to do to get this bolt out. Plus this one was a lot easier and just came right out instead of getting hammered on for an hour before it even moved. So yeah, I suppose that's how you do that. Now we wait for O'Reilly's to drop off a new lower ball joint and stick it all together with new stuff. Alright, so I've sat down for a bit, read through all the instructions for our QA1 stuff and our Summit Racing disc brake conversion, and I am ready to go. Now, I want to tell you guys how you can find a budget level suspension kit from QA1 for this MOPAR. And the reason I'm saying this is because right now if you go on the QA1 website and pull up the level 1 handling kit for this car, it's $3,300. Level 2 and 3 is like $8,000. And the reason is that that is an entire K member and everything that redoes the terrible front suspension of this car and allows this car to have a sway bar. Now, if you want to be a big baller and have front and rear sway bars, make this car handle like an absolute dream, you can with their level 2, 3 kits or front sway bar, like I said, level 1 kit. But if you're like us and you want to do this on a budget, here's what you gotta do. These right here are the part numbers you're going to need. Now you cannot find this exact kit on their website. This is essentially a level 1/2 kit. What used to be their old level 1 before they came out with all the crazy stuff to fix the terrible suspension these cars have. And they got bumped off the bottom of the list, but they still make it all and they still sell it all. You can find it by either calling their sales and technical support line and telling them that you have a B-body that you want to handle on a budget, or getting a hold of one of their catalogs and thumbing through and finding all this, or just, using these part numbers I just showed you. And I will say you can actually go cheaper than this because we got double adjustable shocks. You can get single or even non-adjustable shocks if you're really looking to save some money on this build. But what this is double adjustable shocks front and rear, dynamic strut bars, an upper tubular control arm kit, those washers, the adjuster kit, and tie rod sleeves. What this list of parts will do is fix all the worn out components in this car, the common wear problems that this suspension has, with some good quality stuff that's going to last a long time and give you good shocks all the way around, which if you saw our handling video we did last year, you know that shocks are 70% of everything. We get those QA1 shocks in there with some stronger parts that help hold the stuff around it in place. This car should finally handle pretty dang good. On the other end of things, we have the Summit Racing disc brake conversion kit. Now this is a conversion kit that does not come with a master cylinder, proportioning valve, or booster, unlike some of the other kits. This is just everything down on the spindle. Thankfully for me, I already have a factory booster, and someone put a disc drum master in here because the drum boosted master is pretty much impossible to find in like $300. I will have to change the proportioning valve and probably run all new lines, but this is a much more affordable way to get better brakes, not just working brakes, but an upgraded brake system on this car. Like I said, $130 for the front drums times 2 plus a $300 master cylinder. That's literally the cost of this conversion kit and a $60 master from Rock Auto. All right, let's get to it. All right, first things first, we're gonna be starting with our upper control arm from QA1. As you can see here, this is a lot stronger design. This is stamped steel. This one is all tubular all the way around and fully welded. The name of the game with the suspension we're putting on this car is stopping flex. Obviously, this is a lot stronger than the stamped steel. It's going to stop all the flex up here. The strut rod we put in down here will not have a bushing on it. That's going to stop flex up front and stop that tire from being able to move back and forth. And our tie rod links are going to be a lot stronger than the factories as well. All this is going to allow us to make better use of the control that the shock is able to give to our tire and ultimately get more performance out of our tire. Suspension all comes down to making your tire actually do all the work it is capable of. One good thing about these cars being made out of Budweiser beer cans, as you can see, a little difficult to get that in. Get your hammer and just kind of, you know, flex the mount out of the way. Then you should be able to just boop, put that control arm right in. If you're having trouble, you can get in there with a screwdriver and kind of pry him into position. There we go. Now we take our adjuster kit, which is those cammed washers. Go ahead and drop them in. This is a very poor design of suspension from Dodge, but QA1 is making the most of it here. One thing I did forget to mention earlier, they're really expensive, large Stage 2, Stage 3 kit. The reason it's so large in both quantity of parts and price is because it allows you to run coilovers on these cars, which, as you can see, obviously, having a torsion bar system, you can't run a coilover shock on this car. So that kit completely redesigns the suspension on these cars and actually makes them handle a lot better. It stiffens them up, it allows you to have coilover springs, and then you can really make one of these cars haul some ass around the track. Again, not what we're going for on this build, just a nice, easy cruiser that's not going to have a bunch of flex in the front suspension, make it ride a lot better than they did factory, which was not very good. And of course, do all of that on a budget. All right, got both our bolts in. I'm going to pull this plate off, put the front washer on, put our locking nuts on, and then run them down to be snug, not all the way tight, until we have our alignment set correctly. All right, our upper control arm is on. I've got these bolts aligned to the marks we made before. I'm going to leave these off because I will need to get an alignment done on this car. It'll make someone else's life easier. Next up is our dynamic strut rod. This is the rod that goes right here and dictates the angle of our lower control arm. Like I mentioned, this, unlike the factory one, does not have a bushing. All it's going to do is hold absolutely securely in place up against this piece of steel, unlike the rubber one from the factory that had rubber in there and could actually wiggle under load and change the position of that lower control arm. We're going to take a knife and trim a little bit of this really annoying piece of plastic back to give that strut rod end some room to live. Let me just sneak this guy in here. As per the instructions, we need this rod end pointing vertically up here. Make sure to read the instructions like 5 times, by the way. Now, we'll take our lower control arm, realign him with the cross member, and at the same time that we bring him forward, we need to make sure the strut rod is going into its appropriate hole. Sure, now the torsion bar comes out. Put the old hardware back on the pivot point down here. And now I will set our strut rod to the same length that I measured the old one to be. Apart from the shocks, I would have to say this guy right here is probably the biggest bang for the buck on these MOPARs, simply because of how poopy the design of the original one is with that big rubber bushing that wears out. And then your lower control arm, like I said 3 or 4 times now, can move back and forth really easily. At this point, I'll take the hammer back to the tail of the torsion bar, hammer him into place, put the clip on, and then snug everything else down here. Anytime you're doing work on suspension, make sure you look up the proper torque for whatever bolts. Anything that is QA1 related will be at the last page of the QA1 instructions, and they are often different from factory, so make sure you pay attention to that. This lower pivot is the big boy on this one at 145. Yeah, she's torqued. All right, while our paint is drying on our calipers and everything else, let's go ahead and get our lower ball joint on. Like I said earlier, this is all one piece. You cannot remove this ball joint. If you need a new one, you gotta buy a whole new one. This one is 85 foot-pounds. Damn it, right in the middle of the castellation again. All right, well, look away, people who taught me how to work on helicopters. There we go, yeah, 85 foot-pounds. On castle nuts, it's supposed to be a range. It's supposed to be like 85 to 120 per se. And what you're supposed to do is come up to the minimum torque and then check your alignment. If your cotter pin does not align at that point, you set your torque wrench to the highest end of that torque, the 120, and then you tighten this until it aligns, hoping that you get there before it clicks. If it does, take the nut back off, try to find the other thread and run it down again. Thankfully, in automotive applications such as this, it really doesn't matter nearly as much as it does in aviation, which is where I learned all of this shit, such as exactly how I'm doing this cotter pin right now. That would make my TIs pretty happy back in the day. All right, on to the next piece, the spindle. All right, all our parts are nice and painted and dry. They're ready to go on. It's a pretty important step. Otherwise, these will look like crap in about 12 minutes. Ask me how I know. If you want to go above and beyond, have them powder coated. They last forever then. And if you're looking for anyone to do powder coating in central Iowa, Phoenix's Powder Coating is the guy to talk to. You can see we throw these bolts in here, tighten all this down, and then once that's good, simply connect our upper ball joint up here, and our spindle is on the car. A couple things with the torque wrench if you haven't used one before. It's really important that when you hear that click, when the torque wrench is at torque, you don't then keep pulling. You need to stop at that click or you're going to damage the torque wrench. On stuff like ball joints in here, what they're looking for is a minimum torque of 100. And if your alignment's not right, then you can add a little more to get that alignment so you get the cotter pin in. But don't do it with your torque wrench or you'll ruin your torque wrench. Also, when you're done with your torque wrench, put it back to 0 and then put it in the box or you'll ruin your torque wrench. On stuff like valve springs or bearings and stuff where there is no cotter pin alignment that needs done, you do need to aim for the torque they ask for because that is a very specific number. 125. Right hand. That'll do it. All right, next up is our piece de la resistance. This is our QA1 Super Stocker double adjustable shock. It's got 18 settings on each knob here. One of compression, one of rebound, like I said earlier. You want to save a little more money, you get the single adjustables that just have the compression. You want to save a bunch of money, you get the stock replacement shock. These are designed to go straight into the stock suspension on a car, and usually if you get lower control arms, you actually have to cut this rubber end off and put another end with some C-clips on there that they provide for you. But that alone should be enough to tell you that when they come in stock configuration, it's because these alone make the biggest difference on a car. I'm talking this comes in as a bare stick of aluminum and is then made in-house into this incredible shock. The QA1 family are all a bunch of motorheads. They're a great group of people and they make some incredible products. So let's get our bushing on there. Do note there's 2 sizes, the small and the big. Ours lines up with the big hole, so we're going to put him up. Stick that up top. Get this guy in place. Turn our compression and rebound all the way down. Simply raise that into place. By the way, here's a good example. I can move this freely by hand. Let me turn these up. Literally 3 clicks each. 2 more clicks. Yeah, we'll go 3 more in each. Can't actually move it. Back down to 0. Ta-da! There's a lot out there that look like them, but there's only one brand that's truly made in America and truly QA1. Remember those words. I can't get specific, but just remember I said that. Specifically the look like them part. They're a different color, I'll say that much. There we go. Next up is our dust plate. I was missing the hardware in my kit, but I'm pretty sure it's like this 5/16, 18, I don't know. I did have to do a little bend in here to get this to clear just because of the orientation of my bolt. Get these guys in here. Also going to run some Loctite on them so that they don't back out into my disc while I'm driving around like a hooligan. Get him tightened down and move on to the bracket for the brakes. Next up is our caliper bracket. This guy simply bolts to the back right here. Make sure all your other connections back there are done prior to this, because this guy takes up a bit of room. And life's a little easier if all your cotter pins and stuff are ready to go before he's on. Next up, we've got a rotor with a new bearing in the back full of grease. The rotor cavity itself is full of grease, and a new wheel seal, all that came in the kit, minus the grease. And now we got to get it onto this spindle, which apparently on these cars is pretty damn tricky. There's got to be a trick for this I haven't figured out yet. Oh, I had it for a second. There. Oh, got it. Nobody move. Now our front bearing. So we get that grease to go in. Beautiful. Followed by our washer. Remember, grease is a lot cheaper than wheel bearings. Use plenty of it. And finally, 15 to 20 foot-pounds on our nut. Now, watch this. I'm going to torque him. Spin the rotor. More movement, see that? What's happening here is as I spin it, it's pressing the grease out of the bearings. And I'm able to tighten that up a little more. So do this a few times to reach the torque and drag that you want. Alright, last but not least is our caliper. As you can see, I've got some anti-seize on the parts that will sit on these surfaces. I'll drop our pads in and then drop our whole caliper on. Now we get these weird tin brackets MOPAR uses and bolt these suckers down. If you haven't noticed, this is all MOPAR brake components. It's all original stuff. It's not lead or Willwood or any of that. So despite this being a non-numbers matching upgrade to this car, it is all original style components, and you could have ordered this car exactly like this. Oh, and did I even mention the fact that these are drilled and slotted rotors? This is the final piece of the puzzle, the QA1 tie rod link, as well as brand new tie rod ends from O'Reilly's. These are 20 bucks a pop. No brainer to replace those as well. I'll get our center link reinstalled, hook all this up, and we will have all new steering linkages, as well as upgraded suspension and brand new disc brakes in the front of this car for a pretty damn good price. I'm really impressed with how this turned out. It looks amazing. I'm gonna get the last few bolts and stuff here tightened, double check everything, get our steering hooked up, put some wheels on it, put it down at the ground, set everything to torque at the right height, and then we'll be back. Alrighty, so it's been a day, to say the least. I wrapped up everything on the front suspension. This is all good to go. We've got new brake lines where necessary. Our hoses are on, new tie rods and everything are in place, looking good there. Alignment's pretty close. I spent the first half of today putting new shoes and all new hardware on our rear brakes. I still got to make some new lines because they snap. We got to do rear shocks while we're back here, and then I think our next big thing is getting a fuel system set up. Right now, as you can tell, using our Benpack Ranger combination brake leg, we'll go ahead and turn these drums and get a nice smooth surface for those brand new Power Stop brake pads. Alright, brakes are all done. They just need bled. Mook should be here later to help me out with that. It is time to move on to the fuel system. Got a good deal on this brand new 71 tank on Rock Auto. Hopefully it goes right in place. Alongside this we have a fuel level sender that I was able to buy on Rock Auto. Big thanks to them for selling me things. That's cool. This is the fill nozzle, and I've got a new grommet somewhere from Auto Metal Direct. So we're gonna figure this out, and then we'll be back. Give it back. There we go. I have our QA1 double adjustable shocks installed in the rear. Got our fuel pump rigged up here because you remember in episode 2 I may or may not have forgot to put the pump centric on the end of the cam. And above me here we have a brand new gas tank in place with a new fuel sender. The filler neck is hooked up, the vents are all hooked up over there, and of course the fuel pump is hooked up. As far as drag racing is concerned for right now, I think we're done underneath the car. Oh, except for the exhaust. There's no exhaust on the car. With that being said, it's finally time to put some tires on this thing. Let's go see what I picked out. So what I wanted to do for these tires was kind of match an old photo of this car where it's got Kragers on the front and some reverse chromes on the rear. If I had to guess, this was either a fitment issue or a price issue or an availability issue to not have Kragers on all four. However, ironically, those three exact problems were what I ran into when it was time for me to buy rims and tires for the car. Kragers for this car were $330 per rim, and I said no. I thought about full reverse chromes or really any other rim, and that was either an availability or size fitment issue. So in the end, we ended up going with these. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Summit Racing Fast 5 wheel. Now, not exactly the look I was going for initially, and I wasn't sure how I was going to like it, but honestly, these look pretty damn good on this car. Compared to a lot of other stuff I've seen for sale lately, these are a very nice thick billet wheel all the way through. They seem very well made. And, ironically, they had the most availability, most size options, and were the cheapest ones I looked at. These were on sale for $150 a rim. These were by far the cheapest option, and honestly look pretty damn good. Our rear rims are a 15 by 10 with a 5-inch back spacing. The front is a 15 by 8 with a 4.5-inch back spacing. The tires themselves are obviously Cooper Cobras. We got 275 60 15s in the rear and 235 60 15s up front. That's good enough for what we're working on. Alright, welcome to Friday at like 1 o'clock already. This morning, as you can tell, I've decided to go into the metal fabrication business. I still suck at it, but I have this slightly bendy, wobbly shift linkage built up now so that this will now clear the header and I can put the car in gear from within it. We've got a lot of stuff to do yet, so I'm going to kick some ass on this because in 24 hours from right now, we're supposed to be racing this car. Let's see if we can get that done. Okay, so everything underneath the car for now, minus the exhaust, is done. It's time to get a seat in this thing so we can finally do a little test drive. I did some Googling, some research on eBay, if you will. The bench seat that was in this car is completely shot. Like, the foam is junk, the whole thing's nasty, it smells like mice. Honestly, if anyone local wants it, come get it out of here, please. I don't really want to throw it away because it might be useful to someone. Long story short, recovering that was probably going to be a lot of work and expensive. Finding original bucket seats on eBay, also very expensive. Still needed recovered, a lot of work. So, to me, the best option was hit up our buddies at Corbeau and get ourselves a set of sports seats. I've had Corbeau seats in the Le Mans for a long time. We've done a lot of miles on that. I absolutely love them. Those are not a stock appearing seat, whereas these are. This is their Corbeau sports seat. It has a pretty universal stock appearance, as you can see. That would look good in just about anything. And, best of all, it is reclining, which means it's awesome. These are really comfortable. They've got good bolstering to them. They're very durable. Like I said, we've been running ones in the Le Mans for a while now. There's not even a mark on them. I absolutely love these. Alongside that, we have their B-body brackets, which should bolt straight into this car. And that means I don't have to blow any extra holes in our not rusty floor. Best of all, though, my favorite feature, every time you buy Corbeau seats, you get a new big-ass box for all your empty beer cans. Now, if Corbeau does not offer brackets for your specific car, worry not. They have a really nice universal bracket that you can use as well. I believe that's what I ran in the Le Mans, simply for the fact that, seeing that that floor was made out of a stove, there were no bolt holes. So I got their universal bracket, found 4 nice hard points on the floor to mount it to, got some washers, leveled it all, and it's been excellent ever since. Oh yeah. Being a bench seat car, it wouldn't have the center holes for buckets. Okay, a little drilling in this exact circumstance. Alright, it took a little bit of playing, but I've got her lined up. I'm good to go. As you can see, she's nice and square. She's sitting level, and it's going to hold on to that seat just fine. Since this was a bench seat car, I had to put a hole here and put a hole here. As you can see, there's 2 little dimples right here. Same in the rear. What I did was drill a hole between those and then reach up with a Sharpie and mark on the bracket itself where that hole lined up, at which point I re-drilled a hole on the bracket. That way, if someone ever wants to put the stock seats back in, they don't have to drill even more holes in this floor. They can just pop these off, and hopefully those seats will bolt right in someday. This bracket's got a hell of a riser on it, about an inch. It is a tall seat as well, and in the end it adds up to, being pretty dang high up in there. Me being 6'2", my hair brushes the ceiling in a couple spots, so I might call them up and ask for the universal brackets just because I'm so tall so that I can also wear a helmet. That car's got the universals and they are flat. There's no riser to them. And since this was a bench seat car, it was honestly the same amount of work to put this in as the universal, so yeah, maybe we'll switch to those in the future. Oh, well, if it isn't the Pish herself.
What?
Well, I think I said there's no more underside work to be done, and I clearly lied. Mook's going to do an oil change, and I'm going to put some mufflers on. Yeah, good job, Mook. Heck it up.
Don't even need a wrench.
Whoa.
I'm assuming this is the break-in oil.
Correct.
This is the first time I've touched this car, by the way. I just walked in the shop.
Maybe it likes you more than it likes me. I don't know. Yeah, you've touched one bolt and it went well. I don't think I've done that yet.
Okay.
Alright, there it is. It's some temporary bullshit, just like everything else. It's held on with hose clamps. So, yeah, exhaust. I don't even know if this was necessary, but I don't love open headers because I can't hear if the engine's ever making any bad noises. I just hear, wah! Right, Mook?
Yeah.
I am tired and delirious, and my fingers hurt really bad, and my whole body hurts, and I want to go to bed.
Me too.
But we still have to wire a whole car. Welcome, everyone, to midnight. This is starting to feel a lot like the Coyote swap I did in my Mustang. That video will come out someday. I know right now that doesn't make any sense, but you'll see. Where are we? Okay. I've got the radiator drained so that tomorrow I can reroute this guy and get him set up in the cab instead of on the dash. The gas pedal's hooked up. We got our double return springs right there. Brakes are obviously done. We need to get a battery tie down in the morning. Alternator's hooked up. Probably doesn't work. I don't know if any of the wiring on this car actually works, which is why the stuff we need I have wired separately to this gauge pod I literally glued into place. Mook put in some seat belts. These are just generic seat belts I bought off eBay. Ooh, wow. Wow, those work really good. But for now, I think I'm at the point that I should, in theory, be able to hook this up, get in there, flip a couple switches, fire this thing up, and operate it with brakes and everything from within the cab. And that was my sole goal for today. So if I can do that, I can go fold the futon down in the office and go to sleep for a few hours and finish everything in the morning. Let's see if it does it. Sounds like I'm missing a cylinder or two in there, but the oil pressure's good. It's got fresh 2050 in it, high zinc. I don't know, it's good enough. It moved itself. Maybe not well, but we'll deal with that when it's time to deal with that. I've officially smoked out the shop, so I'm gonna go sleep really good for a little while. I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, folks. It is like 4 hours until race time. Last night after I turned the camera off, I did a compression test on this motor, and our bad cylinder here made 5 PSI. I have never seen a motor with a moving piston make that low of PSI before, so I suspected we had a valve stuck wide open. I pried this valve cover off to find that was absolutely not the case. The valve train is just fine. There is a bit of clean spots around the piston, which would be an indicator of a blown head gasket, but I've never seen a blown head gasket that bad to where it doesn't even make any pressure. The weirdest part of all was the fact that this car ran perfectly fine before I drained the coolant. Drained the coolant, now it doesn't want to run at all. So I think what we're going to do is put coolant back in it and see if that seals whatever hole it's breathing air out of, and take it straight to the drag strip. Be that a V6 or a V7 car, I don't care anymore. I just want to go down the drag strip. Okay, so our second problematic cylinder, 3 and 7 are the two we're having troubles with, which is weird. Usually if you blow a head gasket, it's either 1 and 7 or 3 and 5. It blows between them or at the ends. These two are completely random. This right here is inside the bore. There's the cylinder wall. There's the piston. There's a puddle of oil. No, not a puddle, sorry, a lake. A great lake of oil. Look at that. Look how clean the piston is though. Holy shit. Let's do a compression test on him and see what we get as well. Well, I needed both hands to do it, but we have our results. Da da da! This one's a little better. God dang, what is causing that? That one makes sense. 30 psi. That's probably a head gasket, but 0? What is your deal? Well, water's back in the radiator. If you listen closely once in a while, you hear that rear cylinder fire off. God, this is so weird. This motor ran great last time it was on camera. It was all 8 cylinders for sure. And now, after sitting and doing nothing, yeah, runs like crap. I don't know. Alright, well, let's get everything wrapped up and go to the drag races with our V6 satellite.
Oh wow, it's smoky in here.
Morning, Mook.
It's morning indeed. I was driving and there was a ladybug in my sleeve, so I don't know if it's a good morning, but it's morning. Here's a sandwich.
Oh, thank you. Some Casey's will hold me over. I did a compression test on 2 cylinders and they are flat. Nothing. Motor's junk.
Well, you still got 3/4 of them.
Exactly. We're still going drag racing because damn it if we haven't done all this work for nothing. But we need a motor and we might be coming home with a bucket.
That's fine.
That's fine. Let's do it.
We just strawberry milk.
Oh, thank you so much. Now it is a good morning. All right. Well, as you can hear, we have made it to the drag strip. Unfortunately, it's sprinkling actively right now. We followed the sprinkles all the way here, and it's supposed to be straight up raining in an hour. So let's get this unloaded and see if we can even get a single pass in today. Just our luck. This whole project's just been one step of turmoil after the other. Might as well take our car on 6 cylinders to the drag race and not even get to go down the strip after driving an hour and a half. God. 20 minutes for the big rain, I think, so. Maybe we can at least say we unloaded it at the racetrack, right? Yeah, we went to the drag race. Didn't do well. Okay, ready?
Yeah, the balloons are racing.
The best race of the week. Did we lose a 3rd cylinder or what's going on? There's a cloud of smoke coming out of this thing now.
Yeah.
We'll have to take our trip over to the tech stand to break the brake pads in. Oh, hey, Mook, how's it going?
Hey.
Flopping around over there, are we?
I'm really trying my best here.
Come on, 6 cylinders of fury. That sounds like shit. What happened? It was great. Like, it ran great when I did a 20-minute break-in, and it sat, and no one touched it. And I came back, and I got 2 dead cylinders. It's not the valves, it's not the piston. It's got to be a head gasket. 0 psi. Let's see if we pass tech. Watch, they're gonna be like, yeah, you have to have a hood. Well, just like that, pulled up to the tech stand and started pouring. They shut the whole thing down. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail, Mook. And apparently, if it's me with a MOPAR, I'm exclusively the nail, and the hammer is a 2-pound sledge. Yeah, look at that. At least something went right today. The water smearers work. Well, I'm glad we stayed up to midnight like 3 nights in a row and did all that work and drove an hour and a half.
Yeah.
For absolutely no reason. Why do the wipers keep running with the power off? Like,
Just MOPAR things.
oh, now they turn off. Okay. Hey, how was your race?
Oh, it wasn't bad.
Did you go down the track actually?
Yep.
Did you blow up?
No? Made my personal best, 789.
Damn.
Yeah, picked that up last year. I was around 823.
789 the 16th. Not bad. Okay, so yesterday the drag strip did not work out at all, but I found a plan B. In all reality, it's probably the universe's way of telling me, hey, don't run that motor. It might still be salvageable, so don't go blow it up at a drag strip. Instead, they're having a car show at the other end of town, so we're gonna hop in this and see if we can limp it all the way over there a whole mile. See how much water's in the basin of that air cleaner. Apparently. No boosted brakes, here we go. Whee! Ah, cold-blooded bastard. Why do you hate life so much suddenly? You ran excellent during the break-in. I don't get it. Ooh, power steering works real nice. We're doing it. We're driving it. It's gonna die. Come on. There's no boosted brakes. It runs like crap. It's on 6 cylinders. There's no tail lights. There's no blinkers. There's no license plate. There's no hood. And most important of all, I have no F's left to give, which means this is gonna work just fine. Not as bad as I thought, but not as good as I wanted it to be. And the last horse stumbles out of the gate. All right, find some parking where hopefully no one can see us. Yeah, it's got a big cam. Oh, everyone's leaving. Kevin's here. That thing stinks. Let's go. Well, there it is. The satellite has totally attended its first car show for the first time in probably 20-something years. I am 2 for 2 on doing a shortcut rebuild on a motor and them immediately dying within the first 60 miles. I guess I've officially learned that I'm just cursed to never successfully pull that off. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a complete flop in my book, but we did get some awesome QA1 suspension and Summit Racing disc brake conversion stuff put on this car. In the 3 blocks I drove it, I can already tell that this thing actually drives really nice. I do have a lot of work left to do, so make sure you subscribe to see the next episode where we do all the finishing detail touches on the satellite. We'll see you then. Peace.